Hello and welcome to the Ellen Made Book Club and this reading vlog. I am on my way to my cabin. It's a really nice day out, and so I thought I would go there and do some things in the garden because it needs some work. And on the way I'm listening to an audiobook, Tell Me Something Good by Court Stevens, which is an ARC audiobook that I got through NetGalley. And yeah, I'm almost done with it, and I have mixed feelings so far, but it's only like half an hour left on it, so I guess I will update you when I have finished it. And yeah, let's go to my cabin.
Smoke inhalation, open stitches, shock, broken hearts.
Okay, so I'm at the cabin now, and there are a lot of jobs that need to get done. I think I'm mostly going to focus on like removing dead leaves and things that are lying around. And then there are also some things that need to get cut down, like around the apple tree, and then there's also a rose bush that just goes a little bit crazy that I want to keep as small as possible. And then there are all of these shoots that are popping up all over the place because the wild boars have been digging up the ground, and the owner of the surrounding forest cut down a bunch of trees that are now, taking the opportunity to put up shoots everywhere in my garden. I have a lot of work to do to fix that. I might not be able to do all of that today, but I'm gonna do my best and see how far I get. I did finish the audiobook, Tell Me Something Good by Court Stevens, and I'm still not really sure how I feel about it. I think there's a really good story in there. I'm just not sure if I enjoyed the way it was told. It has a similar storytelling style to Beartown by Fredrik Backman. There are a lot of different characters, and you get little glimpses into different people's days and a little bit of their background and sort of foreshadowing, or like you get a little nugget from their future, like what will happen after all of this is over and things like that. But I found it quite confusing, and I couldn't really keep track of who's who all the time. And there was a little bit of that in Beartown, but by the end, I had a really good sense of who everyone was. And in this one, I feel like it didn't quite get there. And I was kind of, as I was listening to it, I was like, I'm gonna try and be patient and not worry so much if I don't know exactly who everyone is, because it's gonna, reveal itself over time, and it's gonna just fall into place the longer I listen to it. And then I was like, but I'm at like 60% now, I'm at 80% now, I'm at 90% now, and I still don't have a clear picture of all of the characters. And so there are several men in this story that are just sort of jumbled in my brain, and I don't know who's who. I don't know how old people are, if someone is 20 or 60, or what they look like or anything like that. And I don't think that characters always need to have a lot of physical descriptions in a book to be, clear. But like, this book isn't as long as Beartown, and so there isn't as much time to get to know each character. And I think that if a book is a bit shorter and there are a lot of different characters, you need more information about them to hold on to to keep them apart. So yeah, I was very confused for a lot of it, and there are also a lot going on. There are a lot of different plot lines. There's a bit of a romance, there's family things, there are illnesses, there are weapons and illegal trade, and there's an old murder case, and there are new murders, and just so many different things going on, so that it's a lot to keep track of. And so I think it could be a really good story. I'm kind of getting Bloodline vibes, like the show Bloodline. It's just very intricate and sort of suspenseful, but a lot to keep track of. But I'm not sure that it really pulled it off 100%. It was really close. Like, it could have been so good, but I think I was a little bit too confused to appreciate it fully. I think that everything had an answer and everything sort of made sense in the end, but I don't know. I want to understand a little bit more of what I'm listening to or reading. I'm gonna let my thoughts sort of marinate a little bit, but that's how I feel about it right now. And now I need a new audiobook to listen to while I do my gardening chores. So I think I'm gonna try The Guilt Pill by Saumya Dave, which I talked about in my new releases for April video. That is about a woman who sort of has it all, but on the inside she's kind of drowning. She has a startup business and a new baby and a loving husband and things like that. So on the surface, everything looks great, but she's kind of feeling like she's a failure in all of those aspects for different reasons. And then she meets someone who has this pill that's supposed to take away female guilt, and then there are some things connected to that, and like she has to be willing to risk it all to win it all, kind of thing. And yeah, I think it's supposed to be kind of darkly funny and a bit relatable maybe, and suspenseful. And so yeah, I think that might be a fun time and a good book to listen to while I'm gardening. It was really sunny before, and now there's a big cloud and it's a bit chilly. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. As long as it doesn't rain, I'm happy. So yeah, let's get going. I think I'm done with gardening for today. I did some of the things that I had planned and didn't get to some others. Like the shoots I didn't get to, but I did clear out some like dead things and cut some things down. So I don't know, it was something and kind of what I had the energy to do today. I've been listening to The Guilt Pill, which I'm enjoying so far. I think I'm about 25% through. I've been listening for like 2.5 hours maybe. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's quite slow like plot wise, but I'm still enjoying the discussions between the characters and you know what's happening so far. And she has been introduced to this guilt pill. I think that happened at around like 8% through. I wanted to check because another book that I read recently, Count My Lies by Sophie Stava, didn't get to like the events that had been mentioned in the premise, in the description, until like 25% through. And in this one, it came at like 8% through, and I just think that's so much better. I'm also enjoying the writing style and the characters and the discussions about motherhood and being a professional and a CEO and how people treat women in the work life and things like that. Always asking the male colleague the questions and not directing them at the woman, even if she's in charge, and yeah, things like that. And also like the guilt that a lot of women feel about not being enough anywhere if you're a mother and also working, and yeah, everyone just needs your full attention and you can only do so much for everyone and you have to have something left for yourself as well. And so, yeah, those are the kinds of discussions being talked about in the book, and I find that very interesting. I was going to make some food while I was here, but I think I'm just gonna go home and make it in a kitchen where there is running water. And yeah, I think I'm done for today here anyway. But yeah, I will check back in when I read some more in a book. I guess. I also have started Pet by Catherine Chidgey and really enjoying that so far as well. That's sort of a similar vibe, but also not. But yeah, I'll talk about that at another time. I think I need to go home now and get some food. So it's now a few days later and I'm back at the cabin and needing to do some more work, and I'm kind of tired because it's been an eventful week. And yeah, I've been here for like an hour or two maybe, but I've just been watching some booktube videos and sitting in the sun and just relaxing for a little bit. And I had some food because I was hungry like immediately when I got here. So I've had my lunch and yeah, just trying to charge my battery to get going and do some work in the garden. I also need to like fix some things on the porch, I guess you would call it. The roof above it was broken like a few years ago by a tree that fell on it, and then there have been several attempts to like repair it and put a new roof on it and things, and it's not finished yet, let's just say that. But the plan now is to hire a guy that can just fix the last bits on it. We've done a lot of it ourselves, and yeah, but it just needs to get done now because there have been planks and stuff just lying around on the porch for years now, and it's just we really want to be able to use that space to chill and, you know, eat and sit and read and all of that. So yeah, it's just time to throw some money at the problem. And there, you know, is some materials out there that can still be used, so I need to sort of clean those up a little bit and check what's there, and hope that nothing has been ruined by the weather and things. And then I also would like to mow the lawn because it kind of needs it, and it would be really good if the grass doesn't get too high, because then you get more bugs and then you get more wild boars, and yeah, it's just a vicious cycle when the grass doesn't get cut. So we'll see if I get to that today. And I also would like to get started on the aspen shoots because those are just all over the place. It would be good to get to those before they get all leafy and things. But yeah, my energy level is not really where I would like it to be. And it's already the afternoon. I'm not sure what time it is. It's like, yeah, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And so it is getting a lot lighter though in the evening. Anyways, I'm kind of rambling now. I was going to talk about the books that I've been reading. I'm still listening to The Guilt Pill by Saumya Dave, and I'm enjoying it so far. It is kind of a slower pace, or it's like there's a fly. It's very like character focused, so it's not a lot of plot, and it's also like kind of a gradual build. Like she's trying this pill and the changes over time are kind of subtle, and so has that slower kind of pace with a gradual thing in it, and so maybe it will ramp up a little bit toward the end. It is good so far. It's just a little bit like repetitive. She's talking to her friends and family about things, and it's just not a lot is happening. But there is these like police interviews interspersed in the story, so that adds a little bit of suspense, and tension, and so I like that. And then there are also these like social media conversations and comments on things, which I also like because it just, you know, breaks up the text a little bit. And yeah, the narration is also great, and yeah, I like the story so far. I just find myself wanting to speed up the narration a little bit because I'm just like, I just want to get to the suspenseful parts. I wouldn't really say it's a thriller so far. It feels very like slow burn kind of thriller. The other book I'm reading is Pet by Catherine Chidgey, which I decided to start like a week ago or something like that. I was just not really in the mood for anything on my TBR, and I just felt like every time I passed my bookshelves, I just would see it lying there, and I'm just like, that's the book that I want to read. Why am I not reading that book? I have all of these like excuses in my head, and like I should wait for it to be the perfect time, or like I want to savor it a bit more before I read it, because I enjoy like the anticipation of a possible good read ahead. But then I was just like, I'm just gonna try it and see if it even is good. So I picked it up and I started it, and I'm about 100 pages in so far. I've been reading it like before bed and like 10 pages at a time or something like that. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It feels kind of like somewhere in between Annie John by Jamaica Kincaid and Bunny by Mona Awad, but set in New Zealand. It starts out in 2014 with this woman called Justine, and she is visiting her father at a nursing home, I think, which is pretty much exactly what happened in Forgotten on Sunday, and her name was also Justine, so that was a bit weird. And then we go back to 1984, when Justine is 12 years old and she's in school, and so we're following her and her friend Amy in school. I don't know what grade they're in, but well, they're 12 years old, so you know, they have this teacher called Mrs. Price, and oh yeah, and Justine in the first chapter, she's like seeing a woman working in the nursing home, and she's like, that's Mrs. Price. But it can't be because she hasn't aged, but like, that's Mrs. Price. And then we go back to her school days, and then we haven't gotten back to, well, maybe there was one chapter in 2014, but like, yeah, it's mostly been in the timeline in 1984 when she's 12, and we're following her in school. And yeah, there are these like sprinklings of violent things or like dangerous things, or, you know, it's nothing super violent has happened yet, but there are just these like little descriptions of things, like the rocks at the beach are very sharp and you could cut yourself, and things like that are just like harmless kind of, but then it's described in ways that make it sound more dangerous and make it sound more like ominous. And so I really like that. And I also like that this pen has been mentioned already in the story, and I'm really enjoying it, and I'm really excited to see where it's going, because so far not a lot has happened, but it's also very like school drama and like who's popular and who's the teacher's pet, and there's a lot of like competitive competition between the kids, and yeah, it's just a good vibe, like a bad vibe, but in a good way. Yeah, that's what I've been reading as well, and I brought this today because I thought I might want to sit in the sun and read, but yeah, it's not really very sunny anymore. I'm not sure if there's gonna be clouds. Anyways, I need to get some work done in the garden now because that's why I came here, and yeah, I'm gonna put this back in my bag and I'm going to listen to The Guilt Pill while I do some gardening.